finally today, we are returning to Season 3 of our Let's Go Trophy Hunting series, and I almost feel the need to recap, as it's been like 8 months since our last video in this series. Of course, we have all these trophies in here, non-typical whitetail and melanistic coyote, highlighting those trophies, and just to kind of recap the initial idea, we were doing whitetail maps with the goal of getting a 200 whitetail. That actually happened within maybe 2 months of starting the series back up, and not long after that, Revenantuli Coast came out and called the wild, and effectively, this series got kind of left for dead. That said, I still want to get a 400 elk, and that's where I intend to bring this series, to the elk maps, Whiteheart Island, Settler Creeks, and Red Feather Falls. And of course, we heard an elk bugle out there. Here on Red Feather Falls today, we are going to continue with that series. So there's our bull off in this direction. We'll have to cover some ground here. It won't come in all the way to the lodge, but as we head over there, our loadout for today consists of the 303 British, which we may fire just here only because we're so close to the lodge. The 10mm pistol, both of these are new weapons of the series. We do, in the trophy lodge, put every weapon that we use on the wall as well. And because we're out of bow slots, we have 4 options, and I went with the camo pulsar just because it's kind of our first time getting back into this, and it's a pretty safe bow to go with as far as power, shot placement, quietness, all that stuff. But you can kind of see what happens here when they're being called in this close to the lodge. A lot of times they will just sort of stand there and wait. Eventually, sometimes you can get them to come in, but this is typically what you'll see. So with our 303 British, we'll try to take the better bull up there. That's going to drop him one of the best sounding rifles in the entire game, and I think because we're putting all the rifles on the wall, using these classic guns is going to be a cool way to really make the lodge look unique inside. But this guy's not too bad, maybe 220 or so to get started, and I mean 200 meters from the lodge or something like that, certainly a deal we will take. Double lung at 44 meters, 215 score, and I think that's a good way to get going. So what I think we'll do is sort of loop down through here, sort of make sure we're not missing any elk down in this area, and then head north to the mountains and go from there. Now this is one species that I'm actually hoping to maybe encounter more, and that's partially why I want to go up to the north. That was a little unfortunate he stopped. It may still be single lung. It was really close. I can't quite tell with that blood, but it looks bright up there. Did we luck out? We did. So at least he's not going to go that far. But we have not shot any trophy blacktail in this series thus far, and I don't think we ever got a decent mule deer. Mule deer is now off the table because we aren't going to be returning to Loggers Point, but blacktail we can still get, and I'd like to get a decent buck, maybe a non-typical in there too. So it didn't go exactly to plan, but I'm glad we were able to get a blacktail buck early on here, and just also it allows us to make the point that we won't only be hunting for elk. If there are whitetail bucks, blacktail bucks, really any other species, we'll be trying to get those too for the lodge. It's just that elk are going to be the main focus and will always be on elk maps going forward. Well, the good news is we're kind of getting back on track with the elk, but for whatever reason, it appears to just be a pair. One bull and one cow, and I think we're going to have to go 303 again because the bull's so far behind. That will take him down. We'll have to see if that's the trail that I have. There was a bugle, and I think the cow even called as well. Let's see if these match up. This should be the one that called. Up to 440, that's what we had on the track. And I think that blood would match, so I don't know, unless there's others that were maybe stuck on trees or something. I don't know why. There were only 2, a 217 score. So a little bit bigger than the first one we got. I guess that's improvement. Still not sure why they were just not more than that though. Looking like a little change of plans may have paid off. Got a real nice bull out there, 300 to 345. I thought maybe the estimate would go higher. He does have 2 short tines. And maybe his back tines aren't the best, but that's a pretty solid bull. So what we did was work our way almost as far north as I wanted to, checked out this stand, and I decided actually to walk up this road and go to this little tower stand. It's traditionally a really good spot for elk, and just on our way right outside the lodge we started at, we've got our first really good bull. Now, I actually don't remember the scores of all the bulls that we have mounted, but there is now, since we started this series, the ability to do the Euro mounts, so we'll definitely consider that. And if we can, that's 30 meters, I think we'll go for the shot. There are definitely more elk here, and it's certainly possible there could be another bull, so that's going to get him down silently. We do have to reload our quiver if we're going to use the bow again, but I might avoid that and just kind of be ready to use a gun if another big bull pops out. Unfortunately though, I don't see any other elk coming in, so it seems like another pair with a bull and a cow, but she's determined to walk right at us, so we might as well make use of the 10 mil. We don't have the pulsar reloaded anyway, so there's not much we can do. There was a cow coming from down there, probably completely separate from these, but we'll grab that quick. Got the heart shot at 9.6 meters, and then more importantly, this guy, and what he ends up scoring will certainly determine what we do. I think he's going to be 320s. These short tines hurt. Everything else is probably close to 340, but ends up being 332. Let's take a trophy shot, and we'll determine if we want to send him to our lodge after that. The only unfortunate thing is we shot him right in the shadows, so lacking some light for this, but you see this sticker here? Both of these tines are short. It's not really a deduction because they're kind of matching short, but there could be easily 10 to 15 more inches of score there if they were the full length tines. Regardless, our first good kill, and as I said, we'll look at the ones we have mounted, and if it'll top one that we've already got, we'll send him to the lodge. Hopefully we'll find out for sure, but this decision to come to this lodge might end up being really, really key. We've got a max weight bull that's spooked, no doubt at the time that we shot that cow, but there wasn't much we could do about it. She was going to basically walk right into us anyway, but we'll try to track them down, and I did go ahead and make a skull mount out of the bull elk. We have, I think, 2 that it's bigger than in the lodge already, so that'll work well, and hopefully we can just get another one here. I'm not really sure, but I think our bull might be in this group. It's certainly not that one. I don't know if it could maybe be that guy. 440 to 480 gives it pretty decent odds. There was another bugle, and I think it was from the same group of tracks that we had. I guess we'll just go ahead and try to get him. I got back on the track of the max weight one we were following, so we'll find out rather quickly. That's going to drop him, and that was our bull. So unfortunately, not a big one, but didn't take any time at all to get him. Plus, it actually led us to the spot we were going to, which maybe means there's not going to be any more in this area, but still we got to visit and see what was around. Was a 460 kilo, 229 scoring bull, so 450 to 500, and he weighed 460. A little bit low in that estimate, but at least we didn't spend an hour following him. So at this stage, we're just kind of getting into the back part of this hunt, and we've got another bull elk coming in, but another kind of below average one, probably 170 or 180. I'm even considering going ahead and using the 303 again because we can fast travel, and this guy appears to be on his own, so let's do that. And then on our way up, we'll take a look at where we're going. So basically, what I wanted to do was move up through these mountains and maybe get all the way to the northern end. There's a ton of blacktail up there, and especially, you know, we're 2+ hours into this hunt. There could be anything, moose, black bear, even elk up in those areas too. And I just want to go and explore, but my main goal is to get into blacktail territory really for the first major time in this series. We've always been on maps where there's blacktail with white heart and of course red feather, but we really haven't spent any time actually going after them. So with the opportunity to chase elk and blacktail at the same time, I wanted to give that a shot and see how we do. It's always tough when you get this far into a hunt to make a determination as to what happens when you're calling in an animal and it just doesn't get there. At any time during a hunt, an animal can just get stuck, and naturally, they're not going to be able to get to where you're calling from, but when you're 3 hours in, it's very possible that they've just laid down and gone to sleep, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So there should be an entire herd of blacktail to our right, and I did hear a doe call just as we were taking that shot. I don't know how that ended up being intestines, but we'll give him time to expire regardless, and we'll try to go and figure out what's going on down here. There was a max weight blacktail buck track, so Hopefully he's just down the hill. Maybe there's some trees or a steep rock or something that's keeping them from getting here. But we've been here for 10-15 minutes, so long that a buck we had no idea about got here, so I gotta think something's going on. We might have the mystery solved here. I just saw a blacktail doe right there. I think they're hung up in these rocks. Now, I can't be 100% certain that the buck that I was talking about is here, but the tracks age matched up, and I mean, there's enough room here that a whole herd could get stuck. The problem is, too, though, it's still going to be difficult to locate them. Probably will go down and around, but hopefully we can figure it out. Well, now we have a bit of a dilemma. I don't know if that's the buck that we're after. It may well be, but the problem is there's no getting around it, so hopefully we can actually drop this one. It would be nice if we don't spook everything, which I actually didn't hear anything take off. Honestly, if there was like a really good sized blacktail buck down there, I would expect that it would flee. So I would say decent chance this is our buck, but we'll see. It is the trail that we're on, but I believe another buck had grunted, so I don't think that's the max weight track. It'll be tough at this stage to figure any of this out, but at least we got this guy. Our best blacktail to this point, right along in spine 2, to get him down, a 148 score. We gotta remember to go back for that other one too, but let's kind of see, because that doe actually got free. There's another grunt. If we could get that to work, that's not the one either. I mean, no complaints, but I would like to know where the specific deer we're after is. This is just chaos. There's deer everywhere. That one's not too bad either, but it's no 190. But yet again, we almost have to take the shot, because that doe is gonna walk up here and mess us up. I don't know. Do we just go 303? I'd hate to completely scare everything. I'd also hate to hit this guy poorly with the bow and have to track him. I guess we'll go 303. We'll probably not find that max weight estimate buck, because we already have one to track. I don't want to have to follow another. You gotta be careful here. Keep this shot above the rock, that'll work. And, you know, maybe with all of the deer stuck everywhere and whatever's going on, we can figure it out. That almost looked like a buck. I couldn't tell what it was. Maybe by the time we recover the other one, we'll get a grunt and figure it out, but we are at the point where there's so many deer everywhere. We were just gonna spook stuff no matter what, so I'd rather avoid the tracking of a second one. The first one shouldn't be that bad either. I think it's gonna be dead by now, shouldn't have heard the shot, and we should be all good, but this guy should top 160. I think maybe 162, 163, 162.3 in fact. I've got to be honest, I never did find the right tracks. This buck has been all through here, and then we just stumbled into him laying right at the top of this. If he had fallen down into here, pretty good chance we weren't going to find him, but the stomach intestine shot at 19 meters got us one more buck at 144. No other side of that max weight track buck that I had, and frankly, a lot of blacktail are in that range, so it doesn't say much as to what it could be. As far as our trophies from today, we did have the skull-mounted 332, I think it scored, Roosevelt elk, so we'll jump back to the lodge and take a peek at that. And, you know, this might be my favorite thing about the skull mounts. They can go on the smaller plaques as well, so instead of having to do a blacktail, a whitetail, or a mule deer up there, we can throw the elk up there instead, and I just think it's nice to be able to customize your lodges a little bit more. So, let's say, on Red Feather we have incredible moose luck and end up with all of our large plaques filled with moose. We can still throw elk on the wall with the skull mounts, and as I said, it is bigger than, I think, two of the ones we have, 318 from Settlers and 306 from Settlers as well. That guy at 332 is better than both of them, so pretty cool to make a little addition there. I do have yet to throw the weapons on the wall, so let's get that done so we don't forget. And to even be able to carry another handgun today, we had to go into the gun rack slot, so we've got the 10 mil there. I think we could do a maximum of 3 more handguns, which would pretty much take us through all the handguns in the game anyway, but there's a couple more spots in that gun rack for them. As for the 303 down here underneath the stairs, we've got that next to the 44 custom. I actually kind of like how that works. With this rustic lodge as well, the classic rifles look really good. But I like that. I'm really happy with the skull mount. I think that's going to add a lot more to this series, especially when we're so limited on the species we can go after, being that we're down to like 3 maps. and limited on space here in this lodge. I think it's going to be cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished result. As for this video though, that is officially going to do it, so as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.